Hello, I'm Zach from WorleyTutorials.com, and in this video we're going to be talking about layers in Adobe Illustrator CS6. Now, the reason I wanted to talk about layers specifically is because Worley Tutorials is all about the integration of the different programs. So if I was to make an image in Illustrator, then I would want to embellish it in Photoshop. So that means I need to know how to prepare my files and the layers for both Photoshop or After Effects or any other program that I'm going to try to export this to. I need to make sure that I have my layers and my documents set up ready to go for that different program. So in this case, let me show you exactly what happens whenever you start making an object. So I'm going to make a square, and then I'm going to make a circle, so you can kind of see what they look like in the layers. Then let's do some type. Let's do some text. No, let's do Worley. Okay. So now we have three different objects here, and as you can see, it is still all in layer 1, okay? So that means that layer 1 is consistent of Worley and then the circle and the square. Now the reason that Illustrator does this, okay, let me clarify. If you work in Photoshop, you know that there's layer 1, layer 2, and every object or everything that you make makes a new layer. That is because in Photoshop, you're dealing with finalized images already, and you're just kind of compiling these different images and these different elements to create a new image. In Illustrator, you're straight up from scratch building images. So it's not like you're taking a picture from something and bringing it into Illustrator and kind of tweaking it. What you're doing is taking the rudimentary objects and creating an object from that object. So if I was to come in here and try to make, here we go. Let's say that this is somebody's logo. Okay, we have kind of a circle with a square thingy, and it's kind of a gradient shadow off of that circle. So, and then Worley Tutorials needs to be on a different layer because this right here is one image. Okay, if you were to take this somewhere else and look at it as a logo, you wouldn't think, oh, that's a circle and a square. You would think, oh, that's the business's logo. Think of the same way in layer 1. This would be logo. So if I want to double click on it, I can change that to logo. And let's say that Worley, I want to make sure that this is in a separate layer so that I can affect it differently. The way you can do that is by going to this little create new layer button. Now get used to this button because that is universal across the Adobe universe. That this icon means add new whatever. May it be a new layer, a new composition in After Effects, a new whatever. Just add new is right there. Okay, so I'm going to add a new layer, and you'll automatically see that it has red right here. So I'm going to move Worley to layer 2. And you can see that the bounding box changed from blue to red. So you can see here, I moved it back, it's blue, and I'm going to move it up to layer 2 and is now red. That is just to visually help you. So if I select everything, you'll see that these are blue and the letters are red. Again, that's just to kind of help you out. Now, if I was to export this as a Photoshop file, and I can show you how to do that in the next video, but once I do that, if I open this in Photoshop, it's going to have layer 2 and logo. And that's a good thing because you want to have the freedom to mess with the Worley, the title, that is separate from the actual logo itself. But in Photoshop, the circle and the square will not be separated. It will be combined. So that is how you kind of work with the layers in Illustrator. And anything beyond that is simply just if you needed to select something specifically from layers, then you can click on this little circle right here. And you can also turn on and off the visibility right there. So if you're a little confused as to which layer is what, then you can just click on that and there you go. If you do need to rename, obviously rename the layer, you can double click, but you can do the same thing with the path. So if I double click right here, I can just call this circle, and that way it's much easier to stay organized. These layers, however, will not show up in Photoshop. So the only thing you will see in a different program is logo or just layer 2. Okay, so I hope that clarifies how you set up Illustrator layers so that you can stay organized. In the next video, I'm going to show you how to save and export into different formats.